Today, I am going to blind you with science, because science is what makes all of this work. This is the first video in our series on how audio cables work, because there's far too much to cover in just one video. So now, we're going to start with the foundation, how an audio cable carries a signal. And I'd like to start with a very simple illustration. Flip a light switch. Go ahead, the light comes on instantly. But if electricity worked by something slowly traveling down a wire, there would be a delay, right? Well, there isn't a delay. The light comes on instantaneously. So what is actually happening? You see, most people picture electricity flowing through a wire like water through a garden hose. Well, that picture might feel right, but it is wrong. And once you see the real model, a lot of things about audio cables suddenly start to make sense. Hi, I'm Ray Miller with Audio Advisor, and I've been working with audio systems for over 40 years. And there's a lot of confusion about how audio cables actually work. Here's the part most people never get told. The electrons themselves move very slowly, only about 1 millimeter per second. But the energy travels in the electromagnetic field at nearly the speed of light, which explains why the light turns on instantaneously. You can't see it, but something is happening all around the wire. Now, that doesn't mean the conductor is unimportant. In fact, the conductor is essential. It provides the path that allows that electromagnetic energy to be guided from one component to the next. When a signal is applied, it creates an electric field along the wire and a magnetic field around it. Those two fields are always linked. Together, they form a changing electromagnetic field. Now, that field carries the signal, and because that field exists in and around the cable, the physical design of the cable matters. The spacing of the conductors, the shielding, and the insulation all influence how that field behaves. So, instead of something moving through the wire, what you have is energy moving along it. Here's a simple way to picture it. Remember the tin can phone? Maybe you've seen it in old movies, maybe you've done it yourself. You have two cans connected by a string, and you can actually have a conversation between two people. Now, the sound doesn't travel inside the string. It travels along it, as a wave moving through the string's motion. The string is the medium. The energy lives in how it moves. Well, that's exactly what's happening with your cable. The electromagnetic energy isn't inside the conductor. It travels along it. The wire is still essential, but it's acting more like a guide than a pipe full of signal. Electromagnetic fields never exist in isolation, and the sources of interference go well beyond your audio system. Your home is saturated with electromagnetic fields. Wi-Fi signals, appliance motors, your phone. Even the power wiring inside your walls is constantly radiating a field. When any of those fields interact with the electromagnetic field carrying your music signal, the result can be added hum, low-level static, or a loss of the fine detail and clarity that makes music sound real. Now, sometimes that interference is obvious, a hum, a buzz, a bit of noise. But sometimes it's much more subtle. You may just hear less openness, less separation between instruments, or less of the low-level detail that makes a system sound alive. Now, the most significant sources of interferences are the ones closest to your cables. Power cords running parallel to interconnects, transformer fields from nearby components. A power cord running alongside an interconnect, for example, that's a textbook interference scenario. When those fields overlap, you may not hear it as obvious noise, Sometimes it just quietly robs your system of resolution you didn't know you were missing. That, my good sir or madam, is not theory. That's physics. This is where design starts to matter. Different cables shape and guide those fields differently. You'll often hear people say, all cables sound the same. But once you understand fields, interference, geometry, and electrical behavior, well, you can see why design differences can matter. Let's be clear about what cables can and can't do. A cable can't create detail that was never there, but what it can do is preserve more of the signal, reject more interference, and avoid becoming the limiting factor in your system. Once you see cables this way, it stops being about opinions and starts being about the laws of physics. Now, a few practical things to keep in mind when you're choosing cables for your system. First, match the cable to the job. An audio interconnect is not a digital cable, and neither is the same as a speaker cable. They carry different kinds of signals with different electrical demands. They're designed differently for a reason. Second, buy only as much length as you need. Longer cable runs means more exposure to interference and more accumulated electrical effects. Shorter is usually better, and they cost less. A win-win. Third, keep your audio cables away from power cables. Running them close together, especially in parallel, is exactly the interference scenario we talked about earlier. Separate them whenever you can, and if they have to cross, usually it's better for them to cross at a right angle than run side by side. Fourth, the better your system, the more your cables matter. We recommend budgeting somewhere between 10 and 20% of your total system cost for cables, on a sliding scale as your system improves. Fifth, the weakest link principle is real. One poor quality cable in the chain can degrade the performance of everything upstream from it. And sometimes the issue isn't even the cable run itself, it's the termination. A loose fit, poor contact, or oxidized connector can compromise performance before the signal even gets where it's going. And finally, sixth, well, it comes back to number 4. As your system grows, so should your cable investment. If you want to know which cables actually make a difference for your specific setup, well, that's a conversation we have every day. And it starts with understanding your system, not just selling you something. So call and talk to our experts at 1-800-942-0220 or visit audioadvisor.com. And if you found this useful, hit like and subscribe to the channel. The next video in this series goes deeper into what separates one cable design from another and why it matters for your system. You do not want to miss this. We're here to help you make your system sound its best. I'm Ray Miller with Audio Advisor. Thanks for watching, and happy listening with great cables.